Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Defining Discipline podcast. I'm your host, Scott. Defining discipline is a lifestyle, a mentality, and a brand. And within this podcast, we're going to focus on self-improvement as you follow along with me on my journey. We'll also hear from special guests of all walks of life on this podcast and their remarkable journeys that led them to where they are today. Today is day 194 of my journey. At the beginning of the year, I challenged myself to run 365 days in a row, all outside, bearing the elements, whatever they may bring. I also challenged myself to run 1,500 miles within this time frame. Now, this is my second year ever running. Within the first full year of running in 2020, I was able to run 1,002 miles, and I did that within 175 days out of the year. So, this year, me going for 1,500 is a 50% step up in the amount of miles opposed to last year, and a 100% step up in the amount of days I will be running opposed to last year, not to mention even in a row. I also challenged myself to run two big major races within this time frame. The first race being a 50K trail race, that is the Yankee Springs Trail Race, that was in Middleville, Michigan. I was able to actually get that done on June 5th, day 156. And not only was able to get it done in 7 hours and 15 minutes and 22 seconds, but I was able to get out there the following day and the days ever since to continue this run streak alive. So 31 miles in the bank. I'm officially an ultra runner, and now the next race I have coming up this year is the actual Detroit Free Press Marathon. Really looking forward to that race. I'll be doing the Motor City Challenge within that race, and that is the competitive 1 mile, the 5K, and then the following day after doing those two races, actually running the marathon. Really looking forward to this, hoping that they lift the restrictions on the border, because the race is supposed to be an international marathon where you start in Detroit, you run across the Ambassador Bridge into Windsor, Canada, and you run back into Detroit under the Windsor-Detroit Tunnel. So I was really looking forward to doing that race. As of now, though, the race is just scheduled to be in Detroit, which is still fine, going to still run it. But fingers crossed that they open the borders and we're able to go into Canada and back to run this year's Detroit Free Press Marathon. Other than that, though, guys, let's just kind of get into mileage. So for the day today, day 194, I put in 6.2 miles for the day. That put me at 10.9 miles for the week, which put me at 81.8 miles for the month, which put me at 882.8 miles for the year. Now, let's quickly focus in on these monthly miles. Every single month, I challenge myself to do a 100-mile challenge. And I do that 100-mile challenge in honor of a charity in which I donate money to. And I also start a coinciding fundraiser where I try to raise money and awareness for that charity as well. So for the first 6 months of the year, we were able to raise money for 6 great charities. Now we're sitting here in the 7th month. And the 100-mile challenge for July is in honor of the Detroit Phoenix Center. And if you'd like to donate to the Detroit Phoenix Center, you could find the link to do so on the Defining Discipline Instagram story or the Defining Discipline Facebook story. Within the stories at the top of it, it'll say donate on Facebook. You click on that, it'll open up the Facebook link where you're able to make your donations. All donations that get made to this fundraiser go directly to this fundraiser. 0% of your donations go to Facebook. Facebook is the middleman in this transaction, but they've made the agreement not to take any portion of the donations that get made to these charities and these causes. So that's why we continue to do these fundraisers through them each month. Other than that, though, I do know not everyone is able to donate, but would still like to help out. The best thing you guys can do is truly just click on that share button. Just getting it out there and letting people know about the cause truly helps out a lot. And speaking of that, to know a little bit more about the cause, before I tell you to share it, the cause, the Detroit Phoenix Center, what they actually focus on is they help the Detroit youth homeless within the area get rehabilitated by finding a place to live, a place to get clean, with keep up their hygiene, a place to get some healthy food instead of picking stuff out of the trash or whatever their case may be. And they try to get them rehabilitated by finding a job, and also maybe even getting them an education to help them later down the line find a job. And they help the Detroit youth homeless, like I said, anywhere age from 13 to 26, and they help them get off the street within the Detroit area and get them rehabilitated. That is what the Detroit Phoenix Center focuses on and helps out with. So that is what this month's fundraiser is about. I told you where you could find the link to do that. And if you can't donate, like I said, just share this fundraiser and let the cause be out there and get it known what this cause is about and what they are, what they do. And like I said, the sharing goes a long way. It even helps out. Even if you have made your donation, it doesn't hurt to also click that share button, because just getting as many eyes on it as possible is really good for this charity and for this cause. So other than that, let's get into today's episode. Episode 194. Before we do that, though, lastly, I should say, I've been trying to do daily reading, which I failed to do so yet again today and yesterday. So I can't talk about the book that I had been reading, which is Beyond Order, 12 More Rules for Life. That is the second book in Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life series. The first one was more about order. This one is more about chaos. The first one was a great book. It really helped transform my life and change my direction. And the second one so far has been great for what I have read about it. So we will see where that goes from there. Other than that, though, we have been doing Word of the Day. So like I said, I did fail to actually read, but the whole point of reading was to try to expand my vocabulary, become a better speaker, and just become a better reader, because I do struggle with it. But to expand my vocabulary, and the other way I decided I'm going to try to do that is to do words of the day. And today's actual word of the day for the day today is, ruthless, which is having no pity, merciless, or cruel. That is to be ruthless, guys. That is the word of the day today. So, let's see, we lost the background here. We're going to pop that up real quickly. All right. Now let's get into today's episode 194. For today's episode 194, today's theme is going to be adjustments. And I want to talk about adjustments, guys, because adjustments is something that we don't necessarily like to always make within our lives. Sometimes, we like to fall into routine. We like to have our habits and just know how things are going to work out. And we don't like to really adjust to new ideas or new things or whatever the case may be. But adjustments, I think, are very, very key in progress and very, very key in especially personal progress and in development. And I kind of want to talk about that because, like I was saying, I think a lot of our mentality these days, especially my mentality, what it used to be before I really tried to start adjusting it. So that's why I'm kind of talking about adjustments, was to try to avoid adjustments, was to try to whatever I'm doing is right, and whatever anyone else is trying to tell me to do that may change my life or may make my life better, I'm going to avoid it, because whatever I'm doing is right, and any adjustments that I think need to be made will be made on my own terms, and I'm not going to make any adjustments because I think what the trajectory I'm heading in is the right way. And that was a mentality that I kind of was set in, of not really wanting to make any adjustments because I thought what I was doing was right, and I didn't want to, face the facts that maybe what I was doing was wrong, and maybe not even necessarily that it was wrong, but maybe I was heading in the right direction, but I was just off a little bit, and maybe I just needed to make a slight adjustment. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about adjustments for, is because it was really realizing that, just kind of take it off the chin and take that criticism and to really absorb it and accept it for what it is, and learn how to really maybe, if it hurts, but learn how to take that and make an adjustment with it that will really send you on the right path. And throughout life, life is always going to throw curveballs at us. It's always going to be about changing, and it's always going to be about how you react to that change. And you can be stubborn and you can try to fight that change, and the more you try to fight it, the more painful it is going to be as the change inevitably happens. So that is something that I have literally recently come to terms with, and the best thing to do is to accept the change and to move with the change, and to ride with the tide, and to ride the wave of the change. And the way to do that is to make those adjustments. You see a change coming, and you know the change is coming, and instead of letting it hit you hard and not wanting to accept it, the best thing to do is to see it coming and make the adjustment to learn how to ride that wave. Let's talk change. Let's put change into the aspect of being a wave, and that is change. And if it's coming at you, you can either let it hit you and it can crash over you and it can sink you and it could pull you under. The undertow will pull you under with the wave, or you can make the adjustments accordingly as the wave is coming at you, and you can surf it and you can ride it out and wait for the next wave to come, because there's always going to be change. There's always going to be adjustments that need to be made within your life. The question is how are you going to make those adjustments? Are you going to make the proper adjustments, or are you not going to make those adjustments properly? Are you going to be stubborn and try to avoid making those adjustments? So really, this episode is about making those adjustments that need to necessarily be made. Life is going to throw opportunities and changes at you, and are you going to be willing to make those adjustments to be successful within the changes that are happening around you? And, not even that, but just in general, if you want to get better at anything, me going out here on a daily basis, running and putting in all these miles and trying to become a better runner, and really start taking it more seriously and do these things like this, I have to make daily adjustments. I have to go out there and be like, all right, well, yesterday I ran like this. Now I need to adjust my running a little bit this way so I can shave this much time off or get this many miles in. Sometimes if I'm shooting for time, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to bust my butt. But if I'm really looking for miles, I don't want to wear myself out and wear myself too thin, going too hard on a run, where if I'm looking for, a good size mile day, like the other day I did 11 miles. I didn't want to go too hard of a pace. So when I'm 7 miles in at a fast pace, I'm worn out and I don't even want to finish it, especially being, doing all of these runs in a row. I got to really make the adjustments on a day-to-day basis of how I'm going to be able to attack these days in accordance of really thinking about the next day as well. I can't just put in a big race day and a big fast race day or whatever the case may be without really thinking, well, will I be able to get out there the next day? And if I do put in a fast race day, we could talk about the 50K trail race. Yes, I could have probably done it a little bit faster. I probably had in the back of my mind knowing I wanted to run the next day, so not wanting to completely tear my body down so hard and give it so much that I can't even move the next day. Yes, I probably could have been a little bit faster, but I also think I did run a lot smarter and a lot better. My body didn't break down as much even throughout the whole entire race because I prolonged it and I fueled a little bit more and I made those adjustments that I was able to learn from the first unofficially timed marathon that I ran last October with my buddy Joe. When all of the mistakes that came up in that, I learned from that, and I was able to make those adjustments in the next big race that I actually put up, which was the 50K trail race. And like I said, there's still more adjustments I can make for the next race that I'm going to be able to improve my time in on that. So now I learned from this race and I'm going to make even more adjustments for the next race. So now we got the actual next marathon coming up. So I'm going to make double adjustments from the last marathon because now we're doing the same amount of mileage as the last marathon as opposed to me doing the 50K, which was 5 miles more than an actual marathon. So I'll be able to actually really make adjustments from last marathon to this marathon, but also from this 50K to this marathon. There's so many lessons I have learned, and I'm going to be able to hopefully really shave off some time in my marathon pace and do some really good times here. I will be doing the competitive 1 mile, like I said, in the 5K the day before. That is something that has been really in the back burner in my mind, really thinking about those 2 days or those 2 races the day before the marathon. And the only reason they've been really on the back burner, I'm going to run them irregardless. But the thing that I've been really thinking about is, do I really go out there? It's a competitive 1 mile. So do I really go out there and see how fast I can go with this one competitive 1 mile? Do I really go out there and put in a good 1 mile? And then after that, do I go out there and put in a decent 5K? Like maybe don't go too crazy with it, but still put in a good decent 5K. Do I do that, or do I just go out there and I put the 1 mile and the 5K in just in general, just to do it because I was going to run that day irregardless. So do I just go out there and do it at an easy pace to really save my energy for the following day so I can get a really, really fast pace in the marathon? So that's something that's kind of crossing my mind. Or maybe I'll be able to, throughout these next 2 months here or whatever, before October starts to hit or gets close, where I have to really start shaving down my training. Maybe within this training, I'll be able to kind of test that theory out of maybe putting in, maybe not necessarily a 26 miler, but maybe putting in a fast 5 mile day. Try to go really fast for 1 mile and then take a break maybe, and then go fast for 3 miles. So not 5 miles, a 4 mile day. Go fast for 4 miles and then see how I feel, and then try to go out the next following day and put in still a pretty fast, decent, maybe just a 20 miler or something like that, somewhere around there, and see how I feel. Maybe even just doing a half marathon. Doing the next half marathon I go to do, maybe I'm going to put in a really fast day the day before of 4 miles, and then still putting the half marathon and see if I can still shave off some time opposed to my last half marathon. That is an adjustment I'm going to be trying to make here, and we're going to test it out. So really, today's episode is about these adjustments and trying to live a life of being open to more adjustments. And when you come across something where you really don't want to change and you're kind of stubborn about something, be a little bit more open to adjustments, especially if it can help you progress forward. Obviously, if it's an adjustment you're making for someone else, or if it's an adjustment that digresses, you don't want to make those kind of adjustments clearly. But if these are slight adjustments that you can make within your life, or whatever the case may be, just slight adjustments that will progress you forward, as scary as they may be open to them, accept them, and try to really figure them out, because sometimes you'll know an adjustment needs to be made, and you go to make it, and that adjustment that you made may not be the proper adjustment that needed to actually be made. But don't give up. Continue to try to make another adjustment within that adjustment, and eventually you will adjust right. always be open to adjustment, like I said, especially if it is going to propel you forward with forward progress. So for that, guys, your daily discipline today, it is to think about those adjustments that you need to make within your life. What kind of adjustments can you make right now that will propel you forward within today and within the week and within the month and within the future? What kind of adjustments can you make within your life that is going to make you better? Make those adjustments on a daily basis. They're going to come across to you. So for your daily discipline today, make them whatever comes across that you could have made today, whatever adjustment you could make today, just to make your life slightly better, make it better. Make that adjustment, guys. Even if it's hard, it's going to be hard. That adjustment's going to be hard. Anything that is good for you is going to be hard, but make that adjustment, even if it's slight. That adjustment will send you in the right direction, and continue to make those daily adjustments in the right direction. Just slightly make them in the right direction on a day-to-day basis. And start today. That is your daily discipline for the day. It is to make these adjustments within your life. So other than that, thank you guys so much for listening. 194 days of running, 194 episodes. This is the Defining Discipline podcast. I am your host, Scott. Today's episode was about adjustments. If you guys can, please give this podcast a like, a subscribe, a follow, and a share on our Instagram, our Facebook, our TikTok, our YouTube, and whatever podcast streaming platform you guys have been listening on. Other than that, shout out to my buddy Justin. Today is your birthday. Happy birthday, buddy. I actually did some run art today for him. His favorite drink in general, all sorts, is just bourbon. So he loves all sorts of bourbons. So today I wrote the word bourbon for him. And I'm glad I actually brought that up, because I'm going to actually have to replace one of my watches. I roll with two watches, as you know, but you can see I only got one on now. I throw the Fitbit on now only when I run, because the heart rate monitor took a poop on me. And now this is, I think, the second or third time as I was running. It said the GPS took a poop on me, but it still got the correct mileage on me. The correct mileage. So the GPS went out, and it went out pretty much 80%. I had 80% of the run done of writing the word bourbon. And then the GPS went out on my Fitbit, which connected to my Strava account. I had my Nike on my my Apple on my Nike account, so I was able to actually pull the GPS data from the Nike and still use the picture, or it says bourbon. But they both matched up with mileage, so the mileage were correct on both of my watches. But somehow it still said the GPS data dropped out, but it was still able to clock how much mileage I put in after the fact that the GPS data dropped out. So I don't know how that works. My Fitbit watch has just been acting really, really strange. So I think I am going to replace it. Don't know what I'm going to do. I have been really looking hard at some Coros watches. The problem is I've been really wanting the one that really has my eye is the more expensive one, and I don't want to go crazy with it, especially going from a Fitbit to something like that. So I don't know, it's debatable. I might just go with another cheap Fitbit that looks more like an armband, so it doesn't look like I'm running around with two watches on my arm. Or I might go and do the Coros. We will find out. But that is something that I will have to do. And I found that out yet again today after trying to do that run for my buddy Justin. So happy birthday again, Justin. And thank you guys for listening. I will see you guys tomorrow for episode 195. Make sure you guys go out there, give a share, all that goodness for the podcast. And if you guys can, also share the fundraiser and get your donations in for the fundraiser. I'll see you guys tomorrow for episode 195. I am your host, Scott. This is the Defining Discipline podcast. Make sure you get your daily discipline done and stay disciplined, guys. Peace out.